This is my second video on how to answer a pathology exam viva. So now we come to the next specimen, which is of a fungating tumor involving the leg. This is a specimen of fungating tumor involving the leg. Now, what are the clues when you look at the specimen? See, first you have to understand that this is an amputated specimen of leg. When does amputation happen? Amputation is done when a specimen is malignant, right? So that itself should give you a clue that this is a malignant tumor, and this is a fungating lesion, ulceroproliferative lesion involving the skin. The most common uh, cause will be a squamous cell carcinoma, okay, and moreover it has a very cauliflower-like appearance. All right. So this is a specimen of below knee amputation of the leg. The leg shows grayish white ulceroproliferative growth with cauliflower-like appearance. And the obvious questions again will be, what are the features of a malignant tumor? A malignant tumor on gross will be ill-defined, circumscribed, infiltrating into the underlying tissue, and they frequently metastasize. The next specimen here is of a intestine. What you find here is a ulceroproliferative growth in the lumen of the intestine. So this is another favorite specimen for the examiners. They will ask you, what is your diagnosis? So you'll say, this is, first never jump to the diagnosis. Always remember, when a specimen is described, you should never jump to a diagnosis. If you jump to a diagnosis, the examiner will think you have not come to a logical conclusion and you knew the answer. So always describe the specimen. This is a specimen of a segment of intestine. Try to specify it. Maybe it's large intestine here. They will ask you, why is it large intestine? You can say that you can see the appendices epiploiky on the other side, right? And on the cut surface you have ulceroproliferative growth. The next question in particularly for the intestine they'll ask you is, what is the difference between a right-sided and a left-sided growth? So the tumors in the right side of the colon tend to be polypoidal, whereas on the left side of the colon they tend to be napkin ring configuration. Why is it so? Because of the contents of the bowel. The contents of the bowel on the right side tend to be more liquid, right? On the left side they tend to be more solid. That's why the right sided growths are usually polypoidal, left sided growths tend to be napkin ring configuration. This is the most obvious question they'll ask you on gross. Other questions they can ask you are the molecular pathogenesis of cancer, okay, such things. Now coming to a specimen of lung, what you find is, this is a specimen of lung of bronchiectasis. So they will ask you on gross, what are the types of bronchiectasis? So they can be saccular, varicose, cylindrical, right? These are the different appearances of a lung with bronchiectasis, and then you have to describe it. So you have markedly distended peripheral bronchi, usually in the lower lobe, and can be traced to the pleural surface. Bronchial walls are irregularly thickened. It imparts a honeycomb appearance. Next is a specimen of resected lung with the ulcerative grayish white polypoidal growth, right? So yeah, we may not use the word ulcerative here. It's a very polypoidal growth basically, and here also you can see on the growth here. So specimen of lung with a grayish white nodular lesion in the periphery of the lung below the pleura. So central tumors of the lung tend to be squamous cell carcinoma, and peripheral tumors of the lung tend to be adenocarcinoma. So this is one difference you need to know when you look at a lung carcinoma specimen, right? Next specimen is of a kidney, and what you find here is, there is dilatation of the pelvic calyceal system. See, this is the ureter here. If you trace the ureter, you have the renal pelvis, and there is no cortex here. The cortico-medullary junction is obliterated, meaning you cannot make out where the cortex and medulla are, right? This entire thing is the renal calyx. There is no renal tissue at all. So we say there is obliteration of the cortico-medullary junction, dilatation of the pelvic calyceal system. So this is a specimen of hydronephrosis here also. If you look, you will just find that there is a rim of kidney here, dilatation of the pelvic calyceal system. Then the questions will be, what are the causes of hydronephrosis, bilateral hydronephrosis causes, unilateral hydronephrosis causes, that you will have to read, okay. So specimen of kidney, outer surface is thinned out, dilatation of the pelvis and the calyceal system, thin cortical rim due to atrophy. Next specimen, again a favorite of all the examiners, right? It's a specimen of the kidney with a golden yellow tumor in one pole, right? So if they are hemorrhagic areas, then we can say it's a variegated appearance, and this is a renal cell carcinoma. Specimen of nephrectomy with a multifocal tumor in upper pole. The tumor has a variegated appearance. What's the meaning of variegated? Different colors, different appearance, different textures, showing hemorrhage, fibrosis, necrosis. And renal cell carcinoma is a tumor which extends into the renal vein or vena cava with a renal sinus invasion. That's how this tumor differs from the other carcinomas. Carcinomas usually spread by lymphatic route. There are two carcinomas which are exception, which spread by the venous route. First is renal cell carcinoma, the second is hepatocellular carcinoma. Next we have a specimen of carcinoma of stomach. So you straight away should not say that. You will say this is a specimen of gastrectomy. You find ulceroproliferative growth here. Now what is the classical description for ulceroproliferative tumor of stomach? Or I rephrase my question. What is the difference between a benign ulcer and a malignant ulcer in stomach? So in case of a malignant lesion of the stomach or malignant ulcerative lesion of the stomach, the rugae tend to be lost around the lesion. It will be ulceroproliferative growth. Whereas a benign ulcer, the rugae can be traced to the margin of the lesion, right? This is a specimen of partial gastrectomy with a grayish white infiltrative tumor measuring along the so and so. You have to give the measurement along the pyloric region, and the rugae are flattened around the growth. Next, coming to a specimen of cirrhosis of liver. So again, you will say this is a specimen of enlarged liver or a shrunken liver. You have to judge by the size of the specimen, and what you find here is nodules. Tiny nodules are there on the surface of the liver. And how do you classify cirrhosis? Based on the size of the nodules. More than 3 millimeters becomes macronodular cirrhosis. Less than 3 millimeter becomes micronodular cirrhosis. It could be a combination of the both. So you have micronodules as well as micronodules. Then the obvious questions will be list the causes of cirrhosis. So you have a lot of causes like alcoholic cirrhosis, hepatitis B, Indian childhood cirrhosis, hemochromatosis, then alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. All these are causes. And then you will have to subclassify them as macronodular cirrhosis causes, micronodular cirrhosis causes. Alright. So that you will have to do. And in this case, we have both micronodules as well as macronodules. So this becomes a mixed cirrhosis. So this is a specimen of liver which is shrunken, weighs less than 1 kg. External surface of the liver shows nodules, some regular and small, measuring less than 3 millimeter, while the others are large and variable greater than 3 millimeter. Next we have a specimen of hepatocellular carcinoma. So you will say a specimen of a segment of liver having a ulceroproliferative growth or a nodular lesion we can describe. So there is no ulcer here. We can say it's a nodular lesion on the surface of the liver, right, with hemorrhagic areas. This black areas and dark areas tend to be the hemorrhagic areas. Alright. So specimen of a liver with a circumscribed gray white necrotic nodule. The tumor. Now this is important. This hepatocellular carcinomas in the liver can be unifocal, they can be multifocal, or they can be diffusely infiltrative. And if they are well differentiated, these tumors tend to be greenish color also because they start producing bile. Alright. And they can involve the portal vein in 35 to 80% cases, hepatic vein in 20%, or even the inferior vena cava. The next specimen is also another favorite for the examiners, an easy one, gallbladder with gallstones. So the questions will be, what are gallstones? Gallstones can be seen in the fat fertile female in her 40s. 4Fs you have to remember for gallstones. A fat fertile female in her 40s, and gallstones can be of different types. Cholesterol stones, they could be of the pigment stones or mixed stones. Cholesterol stones are associated with hypercholesterolemia. whereas pigment stones are seen following hemolytic jaundice. Alright, so with this we will conclude this part of the video. The next video will be on the other specimens. Thank you.